Star Wars 7x7 episode 1877 today. It was a huge first day at D23 Expo in Anaheim, California, and I've got the very top level summary of all the new details right here for you. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode where we're going to run down all the major reveals from day one of the D23 Expo happening at the Anaheim Convention Center right now. It's been a very momentous day and let's get right into it. I mean, all the headline news, it's hard to know where to start. I guess what I'll tell you at the top is that a new trailer for The Mandalorian was released, and there is going to be a bonus episode of Star Wars 7x7 where I focus specifically on that trailer. So we'll do that in a separate episode because it deserves one. I will say, though, it is very teasery. It is very minimal. There's hardly any dialogue whatsoever. It's almost more reminiscent of the teaser trailer that we got for The Force Awakens back in November of 2014, if you can toss your mind back that far. Very much like it in that regard, but we'll talk more about that on the bonus episode. Aside from that, probably the biggest news would be the official revelation that there will be an Obi-Wan Kenobi series heading to Disney+. So this is the third Disney Plus series that's been announced, and for all we know, this is the one that Bob Iger was hinting at earlier this year, saying, there may be more coming, right? Because all the scripts are already done. This is what was announced at D23. All the scripts for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series have been completed, and they are really close to starting, according to Kathleen Kennedy. They're going to be going into production in 2020. Then, of course, there's the news that we finally have a more narrowed down date. We don't have an exact date, but a more narrowed down date for the debut of Clone Wars Season 7. That is going to be in February of 2020. So we talked about this on a previous episode, and initially I had been in error reading a report saying that Clone Wars was going to be available on day one. It's not going to be available on day one. We did the Department of Corrections thing with that previously as well. It's going to be coming out February of 2020. That has been revealed today too. And as far as the Cassian Andor series goes, well, they're still not giving us a title for it, but they are going to be starting production in London soon. It's going to be shot in London, and that jives with what we've heard before. October of 2019 is when we've heard that the show was going to go into production, so still seems like it's on track for that. And they released a timeline graphic of where all of these different stories are taking place. So we know now that the Cassian Andor K2SO series is taking place roughly during the same timeline as the Star Wars Rebels animated series. We also know that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is going to take place 8 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, or if you prefer doing the math this way, that would be 11 years before the events of A New Hope. And since we're talking timelines and considering that Maul is still in play potentially, well, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is going to take place 2 years after Han Solo escapes from Corellia, leaving Kira behind, and then by extension, the Kenobi series takes place 1 year before the major part of Solo: A Star Wars Story, where he runs into Beckett and his crew and gets mixed up with them and all their happenings. Now, there was one other set of reveals that happened at D23 that had nothing to do with Disney+, and I'll talk about that at least at a high level after the break. Stay tuned. This episode is brought to you by Constant Contact, the premier email marketing solution for small businesses and organizations. I've used their service since 2003, and over the past decade and a half, I've watched them evolve, make the product simpler, more powerful, easy to use, and do everything that they can to help train people to use the product more effectively and for it to work with other forms of marketing like social media, for example. So check out sw7x7.com/email to learn more about Constant Contact and start a free trial. Once again, that is sw7x7.com/email for a free trial. Welcome back. So there was a Vader Immortal Episode 2 panel at D23 on Friday as well, and there was a lot that happened in that panel too, so I'm going to be doing a bonus episode about that one as well. It's not going to be coming as quickly as the one for the Mandalorian teaser, but believe me, it's coming this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Also, I suppose it's worth mentioning that Jon Favreau believes, this is the word that he used, that the Mandalorian series is going to be coming out weekly when it debuts on November 12th on Disney+. It's not going to be loaded in its entirety. That's something that we've discussed a couple of times here on the show as well. There had been some indication previously that it would be available all at once, and then later not so much. Now Favreau says he believes that's the case, that it's going to be 1 week at a time. We'll see, of course. I'm not sure if it's officially confirmed yet, but that's about as close as you're going to get, is the director saying, I believe that's what's happening. So there you go. All right, that is going to do it for the official numbered episode of the show, and hopefully you'll check out the bonus episode on The Mandalorian, and when it drops, the bonus episode on Vader Immortal as well. Until next time, and until we start talking about day 2 of the D23 Expo, which is bound to have Rise of Skywalker stuff, that is going to do it for this episode of the show. Thank you so much for joining me for it, as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox. It is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other related Star Wars items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2019 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.